I saw a black guy swinging from a tree. I just kind of assumed, you know? I just kind of assumed. This is the exact guy that, like, Twitter bots work on. Like, this is why Elon bought Twitter. This is why Elon bought Twitter. It's to literally get inside Hutch specifically's brain. However, Pisco would go crazy with Zempi, okay? They're not missing the point. They understand it fully. They're being dishonest, right? Well, I mean, it's wrong to probably call him a fascist. I think operates as a fascist is the best way to put it, because he's not ideologically fascist. We could watch Lib and Learn. That's an option. I wonder what they've been speaking about.
And just in terms of like how little you've done to coalesce the base in terms of making the Democrats proud to be Democrats in the time in which we have the least approval internally of a Democratic Party, you're going to start picking fights with actual popular senators among your base. Go fuck yourself, resign yesterday, or fire this spokesperson. But I have...
Unless there are some subsequent events that come from this.
That I don't think that this is going to have a major impact on the midterms. I have no reason to believe that.
We shouldn't instantly react every day and switch the ideology by 180 within 24 hours, like 3 different times in like the news cycle, because that's what everyone else is doing.
I mean, it's probably not a great idea, but like I was going to mention the fact that, you know, Elizabeth Warren, when she was asked about, you know, Democrats turning down the temperature, her response was perfect. She
each individual people.
Let's wind this right back. Let's wind this right back. Let's hear it from the start.
We've got Hutch, the lead liberal. We've got the soy pill, who I don't even know how he identifies, quite frankly. We've got me from Pondering Politics. We've got the preeminent liberal TikTok debater, the debate slayer. I have to emphasize debate slayer of IRI on Jubilee. And then we have the second best attorney in the Twitch poll space.
Next to Ryan Mullally?
No, I was gonna go Mike from PA, but now I just go third. PA. He is the third best lawyer in the Twitch poll. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, Pisco?
Real quick. Can you turn your mic actually down a little bit?
Mine?
Yeah, Josiah.
What about now?
Better.
I was gonna say Pisco's a little quiet for me.
I'm a little quiet. I can get a little closer.
Oh, that's better.
I'll sit up. I'll sit up.
Yeah,
also, I don't know if you knew about this, Josiah, but when you made me admin, I found out there's little sliders for each individual people, so you can like be like, ah, fucking Hutch, get him down, and like turn up.
I do find IRI particularly fucking disgusting. I'm not gonna lie, just because he is like so quick. He like literally started calling Kilo a pedophile for like asking him questions in chat one time, and then fucking like gets defensive over Destiny. Like it's super fucking disgusting. It's just like he is like a complete. He's not just a dem shill, though. That's the thing. He's like a complete clout-oriented, like, wretched liar. Total, yeah, husk.
Yeah, no. So I try to do that when people alert me to the fact that microphone, you know.
I also like The Offspring, and I really like that song and music video, but he fucking, he sucks, man.
Yeah, so intros, here's the sliders. There's all these great features you've not been using.
So he's like, Josiah, you can actually read...
I'm really Israeli, and this is my art. I'm really Israeli, and this is my art.
Super chats in real time. You just sound out the words phonetically. You've got some help here. If somebody get confused, it's like a whole thing. Thanks, buddy.
Well, yeah. I think that you're doing a great job, Josiah. I think soy pill sucks. But in general, are we on to our first topic? Because we got a lot to talk about, folks.
I actually think it's been an uneventful week. So I'm not sure there's really anything to talk about, really. I was actually scrambling to come up with what could we possibly be talking about. But in all seriousness, I think the 2 topics that we settled on, obviously, the brutal assassination of Charlie Kirk and a looming government shutdown. And before we get started, were there any other like major topics that I missed? Because those seem to be the big ones.
Well, I mean, just the assassination itself kind of overshadowed the other shooting that happened that day in Colorado, committed by what I presume and what I read to be like a white nationalist neo-Nazi. But
no, I'm sure he's radical left. Okay, if you listen to anybody on the right, it's all the radical left. So
yeah, which is like very frustrating because like in the same breath of look at like, you know, the left needs to tone the rhetoric down. This is what happens. It's like this happened the same day. And like no one, like I'm not saying this is the right's fault, by the way. Like the left isn't really talking about it either because it's not nearly as big. But it's just wild to me that got completely swept under the rug.
There was also a student killed today at Delta University.
Jesus, another
Did you
one.
see
A
this?
shooting? Was it a shooting?
Oh, somebody was literally lynched,
Oh my
What the
god.
fuck?
like hanging from a tree, lynched.
No, I don't even know if
Damn.
can we even show that shit?
We definitely can't show it.
No,
but
obviously not.
No, like any even like any I don't know what we'd reference here. I'm looking at was it Trayvon Reed?
Actually, I don't know if somebody was lynched. Like it might have been ruled a unaliving situation. I don't know. I just saw a tweet
Okay.
and then I reacted to it impulsively. But yeah,
Touch. You can't do that.
Unaliving.
apologize. Like self-unaliving. I mean,
Hmm.
I just saw a black guy swinging from a tree. I just kind of assumed, you know. I just kind of assumed.
yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry. That was a fucking
That's okay.
hell of a detour for the conversation.
I just refreshed the page and I'll say that Oasis is adding more dates to their
Hutch,
US,
listen, you're my boy.
so something about that.
wow.
I was a big Oasis fan.
I mean,
gotta-
something interesting to talk about that is like not as like bleak and depressing is NASA thinks that they might have found like really strong evidence that like bacterial life existed there at one point.
Where?
First,
At NASA?
first
I
contact.
saw
that's
Hutch. I saw you
In,
tweeting about that, and all I could
Great, cool, man.
Trump's
Pretty significant crossroads and
Yeah, Chank said it was one of the worst days in American history, and I was like, it's not even one of the
Wow.
worst things to happen this year, as bad as it is. Like, are you really like saying this is worse than like cutting USAID? Is this really worse than kicking 17 million people off Medicare? Like, it's bad. Don't get me wrong, but like, I thought that was wild that that's the take that Chank had.
Yeah, and I guess in
Dude,
terms
that's-
of like the inherent destructiveness of the act, I mean, it's obviously it's a murder and it's terrible. but,
Fuck.
You know, if you're talking,
Charlie's
about the
dead.
long-term implications
God
of
damn it.
USAID, but
Violence is so
to Hutch's point,
stupid.
the political consequences,
Tragic.
political ramifications of this, I think, could be pretty massive, depending on what the government does. And obviously, we'll talk about that as we go on. But IRI, you were saying something?
I mean, I just say that from Jank is just like internet brain. Like, dude, come on. I know you went on the victory tour back in December and Charlie stage and all that, but like this is gonna be forgotten, I think, in like a week or two max. I'm sorry. The
Yeah,
news
right.
cycle moves so quickly that I've already seen like newscasts not talk about it at the beginning already.
I would normally have disagreed with you, IRI, but
I think there is a little bit of truth in that, to be fair. I think that's why Sam Hyde's saying all that shit about the next 2 weeks will decide the future, right? Because he just wants to like capitalize as quickly as possible. They have to keep the momentum going. They recognize that it's a good moment to try and boost like far right sentiment. So that's what they're trying to do. Trying to like just fan the flames.
after the Trump thing, I can't disagree. Like I've seen how fast this moves now, and it's like there's a very good chance that in a month people don't talk about this. Don't get me wrong, the right wing will absolutely be like, remember this, and like every time they're gonna bring it up in a debate, but like the general public like talking about it, I think is gonna not be nearly
I'm not
so
answering the question,
intensive as
Barry.
people are making it out to be. But maybe that's just me being optimistic.
Yeah, I got a friend who was really he was a fan of Charlie Kirk's and he was really upset by what happened. And we had a lot of conversations after Kirk's murder, and he thinks it's so impactful that it's going to like change the outcome of not just the 2026 election but the 2028 election. And that's where I kind of like on that time horizon I take the more IRI approach, which is I don't think a year from now this is going to be a salient issue whatsoever. Now, I'm not prepared to say by next week it's not going to be, you know, a major element in the news, but I don't think like this is going to have a massive impact for 2026. On the other hand, you know, what the Trump administration intends to do with it. Plus, I hear like there were a bunch of like thousands of chapter applications for like TPUSA chapters were popping up all over the place. So he could have like a real posthumous effect, which is even greater than what he had in life.
So, Bill, we can hear you typing when you do that. By the
Oh
way.
Jesus. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna mute every time I do it.
I think
He's
That's
writing
what
his
happens now that my
fan
mic
fiction.
is good.
He's writing his fan fiction, by the way, his erotic fan fiction.
Is
Peace,
it bad?
go ahead,
Well,
buddy.
let me just ask now. Is it bad decorum to reply
Hey.
to the chatters? I feel bad for them. They're like,
No,
saying
you're
no,
good.
it's okay.
That's all.
Josiah just being like, oh yeah, this guy's gay. This guy's gay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. And Pisco, go ahead, buddy.
Oh, I was
No,
gonna
I'm not
say
covering the
that-
gay fucking sci-show knitting drama. No, I'm not covering sci-show knitting drama. That's what 5 minutes coverage of that from Chud. It's boring as hell. It's boring as hell. Sound like Hank Green was probably wrong about knitting, though. Sound like he was probably wrong about knitting.
was horrific, and I think it can have some significance. If for anything, it'll give another basis. Not that they need much additional basis, but
Chud will literally do anything to avoid the ire of Ethan Klein. Chud is so terrified that if he reacts to Ethan Klein for more than 30 seconds, he's going to get a lawsuit or something. That he will literally cover SciShow knitting drama over Ethan Klein breaking down crying on live stream and saying that he feels like he's going to get shot now. And then AB having like a total crash out on iDubbbz. Literally will do anything he can.
but for the Trump administration to do these kinds of investigations and authoritarian maneuvers that we all need to be on the lookout for. I mean, they're already talking about doing these kinds of group level
I
investigations.
did see AB coping about why he was poor and saying, oh, you know, I pay for my, what is it? It's like his sister's mental health facility, his grandma's healthcare. He took out a personal loan to pay for his bills and shit. It's like the biggest fucking sob story and shit. It just goes on for ages. Like, I'm so broke, my family's so sickly. It's just like, okay, dude.
Talking about jailing people who like don't who advocate or who celebrate it after the death, and certainly in terms of the cancellation, what I've called the industrial cancellation spree, they're going back on what they claimed was an important value for them. And so I think that you've started to see maneuvers from MAGA world, from the government world. Will they be significant? Will they be some additional amount of authoritarianism than was planned? I'm not sure, but I'm certainly like looking and keeping track because they seem to be indicating that they're willing to do some additional stuff.
I have to say, I totally disagree with IRI in particular. I think this is a really significant moment. I think like right now, in real time, probably millions of like young men are being radicalized in a way that's going to crystallize, you know, and it's going to be really difficult to sort of persuade these voters in the future. I think that there's a lot of like religious symbolism to this to MAGA for what happened. You know, like they're gonna compare him to like literally Christ, like dying for our sins. He is for sure becoming a martyr. You know, I think that MAGA is just itching to you know, crack down even more than they already have been. And you know, looking at a lot of
this is like pure like it's Hutch again being mentally raped by the internet, just like totally raped by the internet. This is the exact guy that like Twitter bots work on. Like this is why Elon bought Twitter. This is why Elon bought Twitter. It's to literally get inside Hutch specifically's brain and rewire him.
The responses, you know, and I think it's right to point out the hypocrisy of, you know, MAGA like demanding that we take responsibility collectively for this person. Number one, we still don't fully understand his motives, and I'm sure we'll get a clear picture, but everybody should probably just wait until we get more information. There's going to be a court filing tomorrow, and they're going to have a lot more details. We'll, you know, obviously probably all of us will cover that, but
well,
you know,
are you sure we shouldn't instantly react every day and switch the ideology by 180 within 24 hours, like 3 different times in like the news cycle? Because that's what everyone else is doing.
I mean, it's probably not a great idea, but like I was going to mention the fact that, you know, Elizabeth Warren, when she was asked about, you know, Democrats turning down the temperature, her response was perfect. She, you know, like basically laughed and said, "Are you fucking kidding me? Look at what the president is doing." And so, you know, I think we do need to call attention to that stuff and talk about it because, you know, it is relevant. It is important to point it out. But at the same time, there are a lot of like really, really unhinged responses. And, you know, to be in this country like right now when everything is already so hyper polarized, this is just catastrophic. And quite frankly, I don't know where you guys are at.
The
really
lead liberal title is kind of tongue in cheek. Okay, I think it's kind of they're kind of like ribbing Hutch a little bit about that. With that,
not being more violence.
Oh no, I agree with that. And listen, you said, do you hear like a beeping?
Yeah, what is that?
I hear a beep.
Soy Pill, mute yourself real quick. Oh, yeah, it went away.
Oh no,
it's back.
It's always me and the audio issues, man.
Damn it, man! It's again.
Poor
what's
guy.
going on down there? It's like a hamster near your microphone squeaking.
So no, he's probably literally the same as me. It's probably the same as me. Is he using a Shure SM7B, but not got a preamp. So the gain's he's like got the gain giga pumped. Is that what's happening? I think so, right? Well, this is actually stuff I had to learn like 16 hours ago. Okay.
Hold on, hang on. It's bad. It's like beeping. It's like
Can you mute yourself? It went away.
Yeah.
Does it go away when I talk?
Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
it's
you said a
gone
lot.
now.
Yeah, you said a lot there that I think is worth unpacking. So you said you disagree with IRI that this will be a non-issue next week. What about
How is dude?
my
It's not
assessment, which is that I
skinwalking.
don't
Just
think
point out why his audio is like
this
that.
is going to have a major impact on the midterms? I have no reason to believe
'Cause I
that
learned
in a
it
year, I think this
earlier
is
today.
significantly diminished. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's hard to say. It's like it really just depends what happens between now and then. If there's more, if there's
It's just funny because obviously he's probably had that audio set up for a while and he hasn't like just figured that out. He hasn't just like Googled like why does my Shure SM7B have a beeping noise when I'm talking? Okay, well it definitely. What do you mean no need for preamps? I know there's need for a preamp because the gain is too low. I can simply tell by using the microphone whether I need the preamp or not. Because it because I have to pump the gain really high to hear it. What do you mean? Yeah, because I've had to. Okay, Toxo. Okay, I know you're incorrect, so I'm just not going to listen to you. Okay, that's what I'm going to do right now because you're just wrong. I have the gain turned right up on my SSL2, and I additionally have how much gain have I put on filters in OBS? Over 20. Like I've had to pump it like crazy, and I'm using a noise suppression filter to try and take out some of the beeping. I've got a noise gate on so that you can't hear the beeping when I'm not talking. I didn't buy an old one. Like Nathan has just explained to you, there's a considerably more expensive one that has a built-in preamp.
more violence, then I think it for sure helps Donald Trump, like for sure. Because
Agreed. I'm asking about the specific, like the isolated event of his assassination. Do you think that it'll still have a lot of like politically relevant sting in a year?
I mean, I do. Yeah, I really do.
Fair enough.
I really do. I think this is, this is really, really significant to
Are
me.
you more worried about the midterms now?
I mean, I'm thinking about like the bigger picture, like I am, I'm worried about like political losses in the future, but I am, what I'm more worried about is, if they really successfully rehabilitate this guy's image and lionize him and successfully martyr him, what that means for, like the bigger picture, I think is just like really, really troubling. And I think we're kind of in deep shit if, especially if the violence continues and it escalates, and especially if the responses to it from like the broader public continues to be like really unhinged.
Before we move on to some of the other things that Hutch said that I think are worth unpacking, does anybody else want to weigh in on whether they think that this will have an impact on the next?
If you say something wrong about this, you are getting timed out.
I wanted to say, I agree, Hutch, that if we, first of all, is the clicking gone? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is, yeah.
I turned the mic down by 50%. Hopefully it's gone. The idea that people are going to whitewash this is, I'm already seeing this on the right for sure. They're like, oh, he just talked, right? Like, now you're going to get the people who didn't want to just talk. But what really frustrates me is the liberals who are doing this too, who are pretending.
I didn't ban because of the ban request. I was already doing it, and I saw, and then Kathy said it. Okay.
Like Ezra Klein made this little statement, like, he talked the right way. He did good faith debate. And it's just incredibly frustrating to see this when Charlie Kirk is like a propagandist. He, very much will misconstrue facts. I mean, there's like track records. You can go on even just the Wikipedia page and start clicking on links of things that he will lie about.
Kathy's showing good
8
instincts.
different times.
Kathy's showing good
called out
instincts
about it because he is trying to push a message. He doesn't go here to get his mind changed. So when people are like, oh, they're whitewashing. A lot of people are whitewashing. It's a left and right thing. Is like, yeah, well, he did everything the right way. Now, I'm not saying any of this deserves death, by the way. It's just very frustrating that like they can martyr this person if they're able to control the narrative and say he did everything right, he was just spreading good messages. And I think it is incumbent on the people that did not like what Charlie Kirk had to say not celebrate and go out there and be like, yeah, awesome, like this is what should happen more, because that's insane, and that is going to radicalize people more. But to go out and be like, hey, this is the kind of stuff this guy was spreading, these are bad messages, and to really push back against that narrative. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't know if I've shown you guys this, but they're gonna do some religious thing with Charlie Kirk. This is what they did after the Trump assassination. I got this at the rally, so yeah.
Wow.
Pisco, IRI,
Yeah,
what do you
no,
guys think?
I just want to say, like, I think that the potential for this to affect the election, I mean, I don't know. My intuition is always that the fundamentals matter more. I'm kind of IRI pilled on that, which is that people's memories are short. I'm not so, so I think that this is more apt to have long-term consequences, as Soypill mentioned, in terms of radicalization, et cetera. I do want to respond on one thing that Soypill said. Like, I think that propaganda or spreading a message or going to campuses like unwilling to have your mind changed, like that's what a lot of people do, right? That's a lot of what messengers do. That's what we want. Like, part of the whole notion of course media or of us and what we would do if we were to go on a college campus is to convince people with messaging and to talk about our ideas and debate people, and we have like talking points prepared, and like
Yeah, but Pisco, you'd say that you were wrong.
Okay, the thing is, regardless of any of this, anyway, it's not really about whether he goes to campuses to have his mind changed or not. When people are like sitting there eulogizing Charlie Kirk, they say shit like, "Oh, he was willing to have an open conversation and try and come to a mutual understanding." They weren't there to come to a mutual understanding, and everyone knows that. So why are you saying that, right? Like, yeah, it's fine to go to college campuses without being willing to have your mind changed and just do your speeches and do your propaganda and all this shit. It's totally fine to do it as part of democracy, totally fine. It's just annoying when someone lies through their teeth and pretends that it was the case that it was like an actual debate where he was open to have his mind change. It's like, no, that's not true.
If you were wrong, right? You'd like admit
would,
fault.
yeah, for
This
sure.
is something
Yeah.
that like a Charlie Kirk will never do, that a Tim Pool won't do.
I
but
get
like,
it.
but that's the difference between good and bad faith. That's all
No,
I'm saying. Not that you can't go out here and spread your message.
Sure. All I'm saying is, like, I agree with Ezra to the extent that it's like you didn't do blatantly illegal and violent shit all the time. But everything else, in terms of like the whole, he did it the right way, I obviously disagree with that.
Yeah.
And
Low
in
bar
terms
for
of
the right, though. I understand.
Low bar,
but he wasn't being.
Dude, Pisco is such an Ezra Klein simp. I understand. I had a positive impression of Ezra Klein when I first saw him, and I do still have a positive impression of some of the stuff he's done. But it feels like Pisco is just like so ready to buy into like abundance and everything Ezra Klein ever says. I haven't read the Abundance book, so I can't really like talk crazy on abundance. But just from what I have seen, it's not particularly appealing. And Pisco seems to think that's like the way forward, and he's like invested in it now.
Being violent, yeah.
I do want to say, like, it sucks that this happened. It was horrible as an event. But I want to also emphasize and agree with everyone here, because I think we're all on the same page, that we are not going to tolerate this kind of whitewashing. We're not going to tolerate these threats who are like, you have to agree with us, otherwise, you are going to reap the whirlwind, or you're going to face the consequences. You hear some of this, right? Like, you guys all decided to kill
People would probably celebrate if Destiny got assassinated.
the more moderate guy. You guys decided to kill the negotiator. Now you're going to face the punishment when you decided as a collective to just like kill our guy. And this kind of rhetoric, I think, is despicable. Certainly, I'm not going to stand for the blatant attacks on free speech that we're seeing. And so, yeah, even though it's a horrible event, everyone needs to stay frosty, to use a phrase from like Jack Posobiec, for these kinds of attacks from the Trump administration, from MAGA people. Don't let them change the narrative.
Well,
Ryan, what
you
about
pointed
you?
out exactly that it's also clearly they don't really mean what they say. If they truly thought that the left was like this hyper-violent group of people that was going to kill anyone who ever spoke out, if they were like, well, by the way, then here we're going to give you the more extreme person. Like, if you truly believed that, you would think that person was also going to have something happen to them. The reason they're saying it is because they know they can use it as a tool to silence good faith people and say, oh no, you have to shut up, you can't counter us anymore, because like, otherwise we'll go and do something crazy and put I forgot who the leader of the neo-Nazi party is that they're using in all those images, but like it's used as a silencing tactic. They don't truly believe exactly what they're saying.
IRI, what about you, buddy? What do you think about
Yeah,
all this?
I want to build on what Pisco was saying. I was very happy to see people start pushing back on the narrative that like NBC News was portraying of this was just a guy who was talking to people in good faith. Bullshit. Go look at his page. It's all leftist melts down as they try to fight me. He was there to farm clips. He was there to take on children. It's like NBA player going to a high school game and dunking on people to get a poster. So I really don't care for that. But, you know, the idea that he died while talking politics, the bird's eye view is important to stand up for and say, we don't want that. It was a body blow to our democracy. And if you're not mad about Charlie Kirk, that's fine. I'm not shedding a tear over Charlie Kirk, but I did get upset. And I think everybody should condemn the violence because it hurts all of us. It chills political speech in America
100%.
and it hurts our democracy. However, as far as the future of Turning Point USA, no offense to his widow, and people grieve in their own way, but that was terrible what she rolled out. They should have never put her out there, and it was just really shocking to see what they did. And then the whole Instagram videos and showing his hands on and his body and stuff. I don't think these are talented people that are in control outside of Charlie Kirk. I think he was the magic for Turning Point USA. So I'll be shocked if if they really achieve something special moving forward.
Well, we have the vice president taking over as the host of the Charlie Kirk podcast. So
in his official office, using the official trappings of his office,
disgusting.
To host it. Yeah.
Is that a Hatch Act violation or anything?
I don't know.
Like,
I mean, at this point, what does the Hatch Act even mean in this administration? But
it's dead law.
I'll just. I do want to say on the speech that his wife made.
Wait, what is this clip?
Counter Charlie Kirk. We're still going to Colorado, by the way, to, I guess, talk to Turning Points. I'm just going to stand not close to Destiny.
Yeah, I was invited to be one of 20 liberal debaters, and I think Dean was going to be there, and
Hunter was going to be there.
Hunter was going to be there. Yeah.
Hunter Biden or Hunter Avalon?
No, Hunter,
it was going to be
Hunter.
This clip is titled "Hutch almost cries at the idea of Destiny getting cucked."
Yeah,
I think that's quite accurate.
Yeah, I was invited to be one of 20 liberal debaters, and
Josiah finds
was
it
going to
funny.
be there, and
Hunter.
Josiah's amused.
Or his widow made. Like the part that was most disturbing to me was when she was like, the evildoers, they have unleashed the fire, and the cries of this widow will echo throughout the world like a battle cry. These are words meant to ascribe collective guilt. You, Josiah, you, Hutch, you random liberal in the audience, you are responsible for murder. Now, if you are shocked and outraged like I am about this murder, and if you condemn it, I think, and even, by the way, even if you don't, you have no role in the causal mechanism that led to Charlie Kirk's death. You have no moral culpability for this crazy coward who took this life, and you should not accept any on your behalf or on the left's behalf or on Democrats' behalf. We are not going to, and we should not accept guilt for something we did not do. And it's a standard that would never be applied to them in any other context. Minnesota legislator shootings, January 6th, all other examples of violence input here.
Flags, though.
Yeah.
So
it is, I think, absolutely shameful. I'm going to repeat it. Shameful to accuse people, just like they did. Remember when with the Kilmar Abrego Garcia, they brought out this woman who had this daughter who died as a result of an illegal alien who killed their daughter or something, and trying to put the blood of her daughter on Kilmar Abrego Garcia's hands, even though he had no connection to that crime, no relation whatsoever. It's classic from their demagogue playbook. And just because a widow says it doesn't mean that I'm going to not condemn that kind of statement.
yeah, damn. Hutch, what do you think? I feel like you were chomping at the bit there. Lay it on us, brother.
I mean, I have so many different thoughts. I mean, I agree with you guys completely about like.
Look, we're huge Pisco fans here, okay? We are huge Pisco fans, okay? Now, IRI does look like he's a parody. He does look like a total fucking parody. Soy Pill too. Soy Pill is kind of doing a parody though, so it is kind of clear that it's a parody, but also it's just like cringe and not funny. Hutch has Mario tattoos up his arm. Josiah's okay.
Should we not avoid, speaking quite frankly and telling the truth about what he said? We have a responsibility to do it because like we all have normies in our lives, right? Like how well do the normies in your life?
Bing Bing Wahoo really picking his nose.
Charlie Kirk, like
sitting there rocking backwards and forwards, terrified of Twitter.
70% of the country that really don't really know a lot about this guy. And speaking to what Pisco was talking about, like the narrative right now is just really important for conservatives. And as always, the narrative is like they did this to us. Like it didn't matter the guy who shot at him in Pennsylvania. They can't even really find a political motivation for that guy's murder. I mean, it just seemed like the kid was just really.
Dude, I've been saying, Pisco could go fucking crazy with Zempi. Okay, it's terrible to say. Obviously, it's hard. It must feel horrible to hear this. So I do feel bad saying it about Pisco because Pisco's my boy. However, Pisco would go crazy with Zempi. Okay. It's just an unfortunate. You have to take the black pill. Me and Jason were saying this last night. You have to take the black pill at some point. That not about Pisco specifically, but this is a fact. You have to take the black pill. It's all looks maxing all the way down. It's all looks maxing all the way down. All success is built off of looks maxing at some level.
I mean, he was Googling like what is major depressive
Well, he was also,
disorder, you know.
speaking of Google's, as a reminder, he was Google searching President Biden's campaign stops too, because like he was just an equal opportunity offender. He was going to strike at whichever political candidate was more accessible.
The other guy in Florida had kind of incoherent politics too. Like he was like basically like a never Trump Republican. But that doesn't stop them from framing it in this way. And I fear like in a moment like this, when you had such a like viscerally brutal murder that was just everybody's seen videos of it like 50 times at this point, that can be really potent messaging for them, like it really, it makes their job like a lot easier of framing that as this, a collective attack from the left on free speech. And so, it really is up to us to remind people that it wasn't even that long ago that Charlie Kirk was suggesting that Joe Biden deserved to be executed. He was trying to get Mehdi Hassan deported like 2 fucking weeks ago for his speech. And so, we absolutely should not allow them to dictate, how he should be remembered and how people think about him. But I think we also have to be careful when we're pointing this stuff out to, not be fucking deranged. Like
Ghouls,
that's really fucking important now.
I think it's important to say that, like when I first heard about, so let me just give you my mindset. So when I first heard about it, there was a guy upstairs soundproofing like the home studio that I use, so I couldn't like do any sort of content creation. I wasn't like really paying attention to the news. And then again, I think it was either in a
is looks maxing Zoomer speak for body dysmorphia, basically, yeah, pretty much.
Or because I was scrolling through Twitter, I saw the fuck from Hutch, and then I went to Twitter. And of course, then you just like you refresh the feed and it's image and video and image and video. And I clicked on what I thought was a picture, and it was actually the close-up video. And it was gut wrenching. Like I was stunned. I really was. And then I find out as I'm trying to pay the guy who's like soundproofing the thing, and I'm getting texts from Hunter, my buddy Hunter, and he's just like, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get through this fucking thing. Like, let me just get to Venmo here. And then I find out Hunter was the one who had last spoke to Charlie. Yeah. And then I went back and looked at the picture, and I see his profile because he always wears a hoodie, and he's like 6'4" himself. And so I see the curly hair, and I see the rim of the glasses, and I listen to his voice, and it's like, oh my God, that is. And so like all of that together was really stunning. And so I did just a really short video confirming that Trump had confirmed that Kirk had succumbed to his gunshot wound. And then I was like, okay, I'm done with it for the day. Then Trump did his unhinged video address, and we should probably talk about Trump's reaction here in just a second. I did respond to that because I thought that was incredibly dangerous and wildly irresponsible of the nation's chief executive to respond in this way. The most unhinged post-tragedy video address we have ever heard from any president. And then the next day, and it took multiple times because I don't script my videos, and so I was trying to get my thoughts, and it was like 20 minutes of false starts. But I finally put out like my full reaction. And my position is kind of like I'm sure everybody here. I didn't like Charlie Kirk, and I didn't like his politics, and I'm not going to pretend that that's the case. Like even like giving the initial reaction or the full reaction to his murder, not only am I not going to lionize him, I'm not going to not articulate that I thought his politics sucked, and I don't think he was a good guy. But the beautiful thing about this country, or that's supposed to be one of the beautiful things about this country, is that we are committed to the right of free speech, even for those with whom we don't like or disagree. Like, it's not contingent on whether or not we liked or respected Charlie Kirk. He had every right to say the things he believed in safety. And so, like, I almost think like the right is missing the point here when they're going after people. Like, how dare you criticize Charlie Kirk? Well, a lot of the people that they're going after will say shit like what I just.
Okay, that's just not true. That's why I just said it's wrong. Totally agree with what you're saying, up until the point where he said they're missing the point. They're not missing the point. They understand it fully. They're being dishonest, right? They understand that when you say, I have criticisms of him, but he didn't deserve to die. That is what America's built off. Or not really. America's built off killing each other for what they think. But either way, what America survives on, what allows America to keep functioning is that. It is that allows it to keep functioning on a day-to-day basis. They understand that fully, but they want that gone. They want that gone. They want to tear that apart.
Said, which is, I don't like Charlie Kirk. He shouldn't have been killed, but I didn't like him. Like, they'll switch the order. They'll say, I wish he hadn't died, but I didn't like him, or vice versa. And it's like, no, you must mourn him and you must lionize him. It's like, no, actually, that sentiment's even more beautiful because you have people who are like, this guy sucked, but it doesn't matter because he didn't deserve to die.
Well, I mean, Josiah, you're talking about the party who said you can't criticize a wartime president for 8 years. So
until Trump,
you know.
Right? That's true. You can't criticize veterans until Trump did it, right? John McCain. So
the last time this country went through a period where political violence was, more or less common, it led to basically like 25 years of Republican dominance in politics. So that's something to think about as well. Of all the things that of all the different issues that people have opinions on when it comes to the Trump administration, like the law and order stuff is for sure, I think right now, his like strongest issue, and he's underwater like on everything else. And if people play into that, and if God forbid, like the violence spreads even more, I mean, that is only going to make him and his movement stronger.
You think what if the violence is perpetrated? What if there's like a tit for tat? Like, what if violence is next perpetrated
less so,
Destiny or somebody?
But if there's like 3 more, like or 2 more,
and they're really focused on the idea of Destiny getting cooked, huh?
I mean, I think any kind of breakout of violence, like probably like helps him. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm not inclined to think that like widespread assassinations and like protests or whatever, or riots help Trump. I don't know. I don't have a reason to think that. I really think that what we're seeing right now is dangerous in terms of what they might use to try to justify some government action, perhaps. I do want to take a point of personal privilege here, because I saw Rob Noor retweet Nick Fuentes, who said basically Hassan Piker, who I did not understand to celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk. I didn't see him celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk. I saw him maybe like talk some shit, but generally be horrified. That was the reaction I saw. But Rob Noor was retweeting Nick Fuentes saying Hassan should be deported and denaturalized because of what he said about Charlie Kirk. It just goes to show you
that's crazy
that this base does not care about rights, doesn't care about free speech, doesn't care about any of this shit. So you shouldn't expect when Trump starts coming, or like instituting the National Guard, for example, and overriding states' rights, overriding individual rights, that they're going to yell out. It's up to us to scream about it and make sure that people are aware that the government's intruding on their prerogatives.
All right, what were you gonna say, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I feel, Hutch, where you're coming from. I just think the news cycle moves so fast that it's going to be hard to keep this at top of mind unless there are some subsequent events that come from this. The fact that they got this guy and he doesn't fit the description that they really want. Yeah, he's got a roommate that's trans, but he's not trans. He's not, this or that. So I think it's just case closed. And I don't think it leads to a bunch of violence. I mean, again, I'm always an optimist, so I'm thinking the best case scenario, but it could go that route. I just think the economy is going to be what people vote on, and things are not going well with the economy, with the jobs reports that are coming out, and with the economic slowdown in general. I just think that's what people are going to vote on even this November. I don't even think it's going to impact this November's elections, let alone next year.
IRI, I mean, I want to comment on that because you're right. you look at all these people saying civil war, we got to escalate, the libs of TikTok, the Nick Fuentes, all these people. The reason these people are never going to get caught doing some crazy act of political violence is because they have so much more to lose. They have cushy lives, they make a lot of money, and if everyone in the country is still at that point where, yeah, you can be invigorated and Trump can drum you up and point all of this at the left wing, if you don't have the like, you know, schizophrenia enough to be able to be like, oh, I need to prove this and I have nothing to lose and I'm going to go do it, like the very few people who end up actually doing some crazy act of violence like this, you're just worried about paying for your groceries. And I ultimately think that is what's going to matter.
Well,
it's not going to be
half
like,
of these
as
people.
violent.
Half these people you're referencing, so I Bill, hated fucking Charlie Kirk. Laura Loomer hated Charlie Kirk. Nick
Wasn't she
Fuentes hated
deleting
Charlie
tweets?
Kirk.
Can somebody confirm that? Was she actually going back and
such
deleting?
Performative bullshit that they're like,
Yeah.
oh, you can't talk shit about someone who was killed. Like, no, you don't even believe that. You talk shit about George Floyd. You talk shit about Martin Luther King. You talk shit about all people who die. Like, this is not a standard that's ever been applied. And even they themselves who are now
No. Pisco is fuck. Which Hispanic country is he from? Peruvian. That's it.
witch hunt, this industrial cancel culture, they were talking shit about Charlie Kirk like last week. And so spare me with this sanctimonious bullshit.
So curveball here real quick, because again, we will unpack like the reactions that MAGA has been having, like again, you call it the industrialized cancel culture. I think they initially called it charliesmurderers.com. We'll get to that, but I'm curious. So, IRI, you mentioned that, the suspect did not quite match the, optimal MAGA profile that they were looking for. And I'm curious because Governor Cox from Utah has gone on the Sunday morning shows yesterday, and he was like, yeah, he was radicalized by leftist ideology. And when pressed for details, he was like, it's all going to come out when we file the charges, like you said, Tuesday morning. So I am curious about that. Like, do you all, obviously you're not psychic, but are you all confident that Cox's characterization will be borne out in the facts that this man, Tyler Robinson, was radicalized by the left?
No. And I
think
backed
so?
that up because he was already off about the writing on the bullet casings. He was like, hey, fascist catch. And he's like, well, it's obvious what that means. It's like, dude, it's from, this video game culture, whatever. I'm sure these other things have meaning too. Like, I don't think he ever saw nice bulge, or whatever it was, So I don't think these guys understand the culture that this kid was in and the groups he was associating with. And they're just assuming this is how the left rolls. They're all trans. They're all into this, fascism. But then, there's clips of.
I mean, like, there's some truth to this. Like, you can't necessarily just jump to conclusions off of bullet casings. Like, obviously, there's a bunch of groups that have done, fucking these weird grooming ops, like the 764 shit and all that, where they write different shit posts on the bullet casing to frame people, and then you had, like, Brent and Tarrant do the fucking Christchurch shit, talking about sub to PewDiePie and all this. So, it's not as simple as just, oh, well, there's a signal here, so that's what they are. But to pretend that it doesn't indicate anything is not true either.
Trump using the word fascist, and there's clips of like the Groypers and all that. So I just don't think it's going to work out the way that he wants it to. So, but boy, highly irresponsible of Cox, Patel, and Trump to point the finger at the left. And I think it's a disservice to the Kirk family, because if it was my family member that was lost, I wouldn't want some bullshit accusations. I want to know the truth.
Also,
Yeah.
Patel looks like a fucking clown.
I was going to
This
say,
entire-
if in honoring Kirk's wishes, I think the family would want them to misrepresent it for the.
Did you see his trans boyfriend wasn't even a lefty, and his Reddit account was all libertarian and ANCAP stuff? There's no way. Isn't the trans boyfriend thing like not actually true as well? I thought I heard someone say that was walked back.
Purposes of propaganda to the greatest possible extent, I think. Yeah, but I need to push back on that a little bit. I mean, like, I know we don't know, but there's a good chance this guy was like, hey, this person has super violent rhetoric against people I care about, I'm going to be violent back. Like, I'm not going to say it's the truth, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if it came out and that was the case. It just doesn't ultimately matter. If you go back to the day it happened, before the Crowder leaked all this stupid stuff about it.
Yeah, I mean, people are transphobic
transphobic
when they say boyfriend.
everyone
I
already
think.
came to that conclusion. The question they were asking in the middle of the shooting was, how many trans people commit mass shootings, which is this overinflated statistic of like this right-wing scaremongering thing to try to take guns away from trans people that was happening before this happened. So it doesn't matter. They have a presupposed narrative to hate trans people.
Actually, I have 6 sources.
And they'll mash the facts
in.
in. Yeah,
they'll mush it in
exactly.
there, whatever. And that's what they did with this. It's like, okay, the shooter's trans. Okay, well...
Oh, yeah. Like, they're saying, the FBI is saying there was a note that... or like a manifesto that confessed to being a leftist, but it was destroyed, but they can forensically verify that it did exist. I've got no idea what's meant to be going on there.
The shooter's not trans. It's probably, you know, some trans simping. Oh, well, they had a trans girlfriend. Okay, maybe it was the roommate. Okay, maybe they talked to a trans person. They're gonna find a way to do it. It doesn't matter. And that's why the Trump reaction is so scary, is because he didn't know all the facts, and he's gonna come out and say this is the left wing rhetoric doing this, and this is why we need it. Like, they're just primed to do it no matter what. This is just their excuse. Like, they were gonna do it because Big Balls got beat up. All right, like they didn't need this.
Well, three big things on this topic, I guess, that I really want us to touch on before, you know, we move on to the other topics is I do want to talk about Trump's reaction from the video address to honestly some like other weird shit. Like he was asked about Charlie Kirk and he's like, yeah, whatever. The White House renovations are like everything, all of his reactions or non-reactions. I do want to talk about that. I want to talk about the MAGA industrialized cancel culture. But first, I think we need to talk about the Democrats' response here, because Hutch actually kind of broached this topic earlier. And I got to say, I think the Democratic Party's collective response has been about as good as you could possibly expect for a mass movement and political organization comprised of tens of millions of people. And even if you just confine it to the leadership, like elected officials and major Democratic influencers and stuff like that, I think it's like A+. I mean, you can't possibly expect, you know, literally every single person in a movement this big to be humane in their response. That's impossible. What you can expect is that the leaders...
Dude, there's literally no way.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is...
Dude, how is Trump's AG saying this? How are we at this point? How are we at this point? Wasn't this what everyone was voting Trump to avoid? Isn't this the whole point? Isn't this why we were all being based? Or everyone has to support Trump and be based and own the libs because they're going to make hate speech laws and you're not going to say anything anymore. That was the whole point. That's been the whole thing. The whole time. Till like today. Till like this. Till like right now. Till like... Huh?
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially...
Yes! Yes! America can't make fun of us anymore! Yes!
Especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle. There's free speech.
Dude. Holy, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. Dude, this is like so crazy, no? No, I did not think it would be this. No. I did not see this coming. I would have expected people using violent rhetoric. If they were saying, violent rhetoric has no place in democracy. If they were saying, incitement has no place in democracy. If they were saying, like, this lying and fake news has no place in democracy. Those I could believe. What I could not believe, what I would not have believed, other than if it was about Jews, is Trump admin talking about hate speech. This is like beyond the pale. This is like so crazy. Such a just total U-turn on what it's all meant to have been about this whole time. What all the anti-woke stuff was about, no? It's all about your speech.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people, so we show them that some action is better than no action.
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle. There's free speech.
It's just so, this is just insane. This is just fucking absurd.
And the political leaders and the thought leaders react with humanity and dignity, and they did, and that's something that I don't think is being recognized. I'm curious what you all think about that.
Well, that's how they respond every time. Like when Biden was president, you never had to worry about him dividing the country further when some horrible disaster happened or shooting or tragedy. He was always pushing the same message.
Dude, Pisco, is it true? Pisco, they must have just ended Lib Learn. Pisco's going crazy on Twitter right now.
It's free speech, but you shouldn't be employed anywhere if you're going to say that. And employers, you have an obligation to get rid of people. You need to look at people who are saying horrible things, and they shouldn't be working with you. Businesses cannot discriminate. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that. I have Harmeet Dillon right now in our civil rights unit looking at that immediately, that Office Depot had done that. We're looking at that. But Sean,
you have to make the gay cake. You will be forced to make the gay cakes. You will be forced to make the Jewish cakes. You'll be forced to make cakes of Gazan high-rises getting leveled. If that's what the Jew wants from you. If that's what the Jew asks of you, that's what you'll do, goy.
She was always emphasizing the idea that like we should keep fighting for an America where you're not like killed for speech. And they that this is just I don't know. When have the Democrats ever like legitimized violence? Like in the case of like the 2020 riots, like all of Democratic leadership came out against the riots. Kamala did, Biden did, Pelosi did, all of them.
Bro, she retweeted the bail fund, though. Come on.
They, like in retrospect, this probably wasn't the best move that she did that, but she absolutely came out and unequivocally condemned the violence. The problem is like, and it just feels like beating a dead horse because we talk about this so much, but the right wing in this country, they really do exist in a very siloed off kind of media ecosystem. So, when they say that Democrats encourage the violence, I don't think they're lying. I think they genuinely believe that that's the case. I think that they get their information from like really unreliable purveyors of information in the media and in the body politic. And they like genuinely have no idea that the Democrats are always good about the message after.
Sport for Brazil is pivotal right now.
So like, how do you take that on? Like, how do you tackle that? I really have no idea.
I don't think, I mean, there is a huge misinformation bubble, don't get me wrong, but the narrative that I see, the pervasive narrative is, if you call Donald Trump a fascist, if you call Donald Trump a Nazi, that in your logic justifies what happened. So it's less about the misinformation and more, well, the left wing's narrative of calling him this fascist implies that this is like we're in the 1940s Weimar moment, we need to take him out, and therefore that's the reason you caused this. Now, my pushback against that, by the way, this is not my opinion, my pushback against that is, well, if he's doing fascist shit, he's a fascist, and just because I think we can solve that electorally doesn't mean he's not a fascist. But
that's important because like let's say hypothetically there's a political party that's creeping towards fascism. Like, how should we address that? How can we talk about that in a way that we're not going to be accused of like and trying to provoke people to do violence? But the other pushback,
can't talk about it.
The other obvious pushback against that.
Trump's not a Nazi. He's a fascist.
Super common for right-wing politicians and pundits to call.
Well, I mean, it's wrong to probably call him a fascist. I think operates as a fascist is the best way to put it, because he's not ideologically fascist.
Democrats and the Democratic Party fascist, and they go further than that. We're not just
fascists, communists, Marxists, pedophiles, groomers.
Yes.
If we wanted to do a forensic audit of all the unhinged shit said by prominent Democrats versus those said by prominent Republicans, up to and including the sitting president of the United States, we'll win that competition, because for every one you can find of us talking that sort of shit about them, it's like a 4-to-1 ratio in the opposite way. And this is something that drives me nuts, like when people like Konstantin Kisin and Piers Morgan, say what they say about this shit. And it's like, we could roll the clips. I'm sure IRI has them, memorized in his encyclopedic memory of all the times that Trump is like, communist Kamala, like, and all this other shit. He said the phrase threat to democracy. It wasn't just like...
He called her a fascist.
Right.
He literally called her.
called her
Whenever a judge rules against the Trump administration, they're like these Marxist judges. These
Right.
Marxist judges who fucking hate people. They're trying to trans our kids. They're trying to like cut off your kids' junk. Like they
And Pisco, they say
yeah.
that communism should be as bad, seen as bad as Nazism. So they believe
worse,
it's like calling
or
them a
worse.
Nazi, right?
They say
So-
worse because there's a
Wait,
bigger body count. They say attributed to
it's
communism.
not this is not even an exaggeration. If you listen or watch the Jack Posobiec at all, and what I understand to be the central thesis of like his book on humans.
Primary, that is literally the most two-dimensional reading that I've ever seen. It's like literally displaying that you have to cap out at like 85 IQ. Dismantling part of the government and reducing its influence on people is the opposite. Okay, so if you have like a law against hate crimes, then you take away the law against hate crimes, but then you increase government control in every other way, you'd probably be a fascist, right? Because you would probably see that even though they've decreased government control in some way, it's actually serving some greater authoritarian goal or ultra-nationalist goal. Right? You could probably fucking figure this out, really, couldn't you? So when they just do shit like rape the Department of Education or rape USAID, yeah, these might be reducing government influence, but they also serve fascist goals.
Haven't read, again, I'm just going off of my understanding of that book. It's like that Franco was correct. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know enough about the Spanish Civil War to like talk about the atrocities of what occurred from both sides. But I'm just saying, like, their whole outlook is we should support the fascists over the communists. And so they view communists as worse than fascists. And so it's really not about whether or not, like, according to the normal person, communism is seen as worse. It's what does their base think? And to them, they do view communism as worse than fascism. And so under that line, it's like, it's not even close. It is not even close. And we're acting, and we have to live in this fantasy world that we have to be held to account for calling out fascist policies and fascist people. No, fuck no, never.
Yeah, that's why I've been sticking to the point. Like, look, telling people in my community, you don't have to feel bad for Kirk, and you can push back on people, but feel bad for our democracy, because it was a body blow to our democracy. That's the only thing you have to feel bad for.
They, you know, Donald Trump, quite literally, this is not an exaggeration. He routinely in 2024 was getting up to the podium.
Yeah, but they're not actually delegating to
rallies.
states, are they? Because they're still passing things that restrict the abilities of states, and they're interfering with schools and their funding to influence them ideologically. So just because they've gotten rid of the Department of Education doesn't mean they're actually decreasing their influence on education, right?
He's doing interviews with Fox News and claiming
this is just obviously true to anyone that knows what's going on, but you clearly don't.
To purposefully allow,
but you feel very strongly about it.
Aliens into the country so that they can flood our streets with fentanyl, so that they can kill people, and then also so that they can rape your daughters and then like cannibalize people. That's not. I'm not exaggerating that. Like, he said that very clearly, like over and over and over again. And unfortunately, millions of his followers literally believe that. So obviously, this idea that, you know, Democrats need to be
primary, what are the powers of the
mind
Department of Education?
The rhetoric is just fully fucking absurd, and we should relentlessly push back against this stuff. And we should show people receipts. You know, if you have like normie family members or whatever, like show them clips of, you know, Charlie Kirk saying that Joe Biden should be executed. Show them clips of Donald Trump saying that, you know, Democrats want people to like millions of people to die from fentanyl.
Well, two things there real quick. So
Should we switch over to Kirk now, actually? We're like half an hour late. It's doing that.